Good morning, good afternoon. Good evening. Sorry about that. In a recent article in the Daily News, the Mayor of Bulawayo, David Coltart, lamented the problems in the opposition. This tendency by the opposition supporters to idolize leaders. He's absolutely right. And I compliment him for that. Because I have been saying the same thing on this platform so many times. I have said on this platform that one of the reasons why we are a failed state is that the opposition has failed the nation. And not only that, the followers have failed to hold the leaders to account. The last 3 years, one of the issues that I have wrestled with was the issue of, did Chamisa lie when he said he plugged vote rigging loopholes? This issue should have been put to rest soon after the elections. Because before the elections, Chamisa said he plugged all the vote rigging loopholes to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. The elections were held. The evidence is abundant that ZANU-PF blatantly rigged the elections, making a mockery of his claim of having plugged the vote rigging loopholes. He himself admits that ZANU-PF rigged the elections. SADC and the AU election observers also condemned the process as flawed and illegal. So the question of ZANU-PF rigged the elections was clearly settled. And yet, when you turn to some of these supporters, they still refuse to accept that Chamisa had lied when he said he plugged the vote rigging loopholes. The only rational explanation for that is because they've got this personality cult mentality. They cannot accept that Chamisa can do anything wrong. He has become a demigod who can do nothing wrong. So even when you are given the mountain of evidence showing that Chamisa lied, they cannot accept it. So when Coltart is saying here, let's stop this idolizing of leaders, I totally agree with him. He's stating the obvious. The only question I have with Coltart would be, why did it take you so long to admit the obvious? To be fair to him, this has become the norm for our politicians. For years, they'll pretend not to see the problem. And then all of a sudden, maybe they're feeling their position is not so secure anymore. They begin to highlight the problems that they'd pretended not to see all along. This is totally unacceptable. You're just being dishonest. And it is totally unacceptable because you are exploiting the people. Here is an example of my Mujuru. In her case, pretending she didn't know there was vote rigging until she was booted out of SANU-PF.
Zvandandisingazive izvozvo zvekuti identity card inopiwa vanhu vakawanda vopiwa nhamba dzakasiyana. Iyo rwendo runo zvanyatsobudisa pachena vaisenzeswa kuita izvozvo kubirizira musarudzo. One constituency, vadzikiti, one constituency inobudisa ma-anomalies anokwana zviuru zviviri 2000 and handifungi kuti vanyatsoita thorough job, there could be more. Saka chindiudzai 2000 times 210 constituencies vakomana makaita mental arithmetic ichi iyoyo chiuzai macalculator mundishedzere nhamba kuti 420,000 ndakudarika ika inini ndakaita mental arithmetic 420,000 munhu ukanziwa wina ne 420,000 inga vamwe vanopinda wani muparamendi nemavhoti 15 wadarikawo ehe wawadya ne15 rimwe gore takanetsana neconstituency yasekeramai kumarondera ine mavhoti anga asingambosvika 20 tichiti wadya munhu weMDC. Saka muri kuona kushata kwazviri kuita zvisina kunaka zvasvitsa nhasi vana vedu kuti tavakanganisa upenyu hwavo. Ndinotaura vana chete asi kwaisisi vakuru vadzikiti hatina chatiri kusevha handinai. Kana if you look at me handina masavings handina, let alone mwana anosevha chii. Saka ndo zvatiri kufunda izvo zvokuti kana vanga vachiti vhoti iri free and fair ndofunga navo vaakunyarawo havasanyare zvavo kuwithdraw that statement ye-free and fair. Ngavangoti tanga tisingazive taifunga kuti zviri correct sezvaingoita wana mai mujuru kuti kwanga kuine izvozvo zvema-id cards ane www izvi tatisingazvizive. Kana neniwo ndaakutonyara kuti ndainge ndichiitikwa ndakanga ndiriko ikoko kuchiitika zvinhu zvakadai. Aiwa unosvikawo paunonyara veduwe kuti my god chokwadi ndakanga ndiri musaga sekitsi nokuti ini ndaingoziva zvishoma. Gambira kutsi kwesadza kune usavi isi taingotemura tichifunga kuti ndo manakira aro sadza. Abi edu vakanga vakatoita kutaura pachikoro kuti abi edu vanga vakatopfimbika zvavanga vakapfimbika ndo zvaakufonyorwa. Muchiziva kuti midzimu yeZimbabwe vauda chokwadi chibude pachena. Saka zviya zvokuti hanzi chichi izvi zvizvi zvaane midzimu yevaridzi vakaona vana vavo vachiitwa zvipiriso zvekusunungura nyika. So let's take that very serious. Hakuna ZEC. Isu tiri kuti ZEC haifanire kunge ichitongwa, ngainge yakazvimiririra. Nokuti ZEC ikanzi iri pasi pehurumende tiri kuziva kuti ZANU iri kutadza kuisa pachena kuti zvepolitics ndezvizvi, zvehurumende ndezvizvi. ZANU yatora zvepolitics zvehurumende yambandikira. Kana iri ZEC ngaimire seZEC. Kana ine zvaino X ainofanira kunge ichitevedza anopasiswa muparliament ndo zvatange takamirira ese mapoliticians kupasisa ma-acts iwayo mitemo iyoyo, kwete kuzoiteerera futi takuzoiudza kuti nhingi nanhingi ndovatoda kuti vashande imomo vazoita zvananikuvu izvokuzoona mazita 10 akubuda. Zvinonyadza izvo kanyadza kunge bveni rokupfuwa.
This is the truth. This has been the underlying problem with our politics. Our politicians have been corrupt, incompetent, and greedy. Totally useless and dishonest. Yes, Coltart is right. The problem of the electorate, the voters, the members, idolizing leaders is a serious problem. But we also have another problem which Coltart alluded to in his book, but has never ever followed up. In his book, The Struggle Continues, Coltart admitted that the 2013 elections were flawed. So flawed, so illegal, the only logical thing to do was to withdraw. He admitted in that book. I've often quoted that on this platform. The only logical thing to do was to withdraw. But in that book, he explains why he and his MDC colleagues did not withdraw. They each knew that by participating, those who participate will win some few gravitrans seats. And that is what they were after. And they've been participating in these flawed elections ever since. So for Coltart to be talking of the turmoil in the opposition, he must also admit that one of the root causes of that turmoil is greed. Not by the supporters, but by the leaders themselves. The people of Zimbabwe have got to wake up to the reality that the MDC CCC opposition sold out. They had their best opportunity to implement the democratic reforms during the GNU, and they failed to implement even one reform. I will admit that I have not read Coltart's book cover to cover. But what I have read, he has not admitted that during the GNU, they sold out. He glossed over it. In other functioning democracies, where the electorate are well-informed, educated, knowledgeable, diligent, and objective, the entire MDC CCC leadership would have been rejected years ago. They have not, because the electorate is ignorant, naive, and gullible. And it is that weakness that also contributes to why they idolize leaders. So to come back to Coltart's claim or observation, he is absolutely right that we have an electorate that idolizes leaders. And how anyone can consider a mere mortal a demigod in this day and age beggars belief. And yet, that is what is happening in the opposition. And as long as we have individuals who are so naive, so gullible, they'll not believe a simple statement like Chamisa is a liar, the country will never, ever be a healthy and functioning democracy. Because democracy demands that the citizens be educated, knowledgeable, diligent, objective. And if you idolize a liar, you are none of those things. Have a good day.